maybe just to bring back an earlier time, the idea of having a green corridor here, we've been talking about it since the mid-90s, among ourselves in Nature Society. And I think in one of the walks, the Straits Times came along, and we actually told her that if we ever got back this land from Malaysia, this will be a fabulous green corridor, As it is not doing anything, it's already connecting various nature areas. And interestingly, when we submitted the proposal in 2010, for about a long stretch of 6 months, there was complete silence from the authority. It's only a couple of weeks before the actual handover that we actually received a Facebook message from the then Minister of State, Tan Juan Jin, who is seconded to National Development, that he says he's interested in the idea as well, I think. That's how the connection with URA slowly sort of comes along. So it was quite an audacious attempt to convince everybody that this whole stretch of land can be a public space actually.
As a heritage professional, I think this mentality towards the green corridor was kind of a delightful change for me because as we all know, in 70s to even up to the 90s, the whole thinking about land as a resource, economic resource primarily, is to really maximize its development potential. But I think the shift here happened when we think of the potential of the land not just in economic terms, but in terms of how it can build up social capital. You're not just dealing with physical things, but you're dealing with something that is quite intangible but is very important, such as rooting community to the place. And I think that is the real value of the project. It really marked a shift of thinking away from just looking at hard facts and figures, but of how to make this a meaningful project.
One question that comes to mind, really, look into the community, how do they, ignite this space. I think more often people always tend to, in the initial stages, compare this to High Line. But High Line is still a short stretch, and the way it is that we don't really want it to become High Line because I don't think this corridor is the same as that. So it will be more really in terms of having the hardware to get activities that is more connected back to nature rather than to the urban landscape. So but it's a challenge because when it gets to that size, and besides nature, what else could we do about it? So I think we need to continue that dialogue. We need to gather more heads. It's not enough at the moment. I think we need more people to really think about how we can collectively use this space.
Can I bring it back to 2010? I'm essentially a partner in crime with Eugene Tay, who set up this We Support the Green Corridor Facebook group. And that was the first time we sort of used social media to, for this particular cause. And we were quite surprised. The outpouring of people coming to join the Facebook group was tremendous. And I remember one episode, there were a lot of people moaning and groaning and gnashing of teeth about, having the railway track being taken away. Because I think it's in the agreement that, Malaysia will have to take back the track, the balas and all its other, facilities along the way. So for a good few months, we were just bombarded with, why are you not stopping, the tearing of the railway track? So that was
asking you.
That was
Ask MFA.
we have no answer because we have also no news from the government whether is that going to be happening. It basically measures the sentiment of the people about the railway track. They actually want the railway track to be there.
It is.
I think for memories and that sort of thing. Yeah. And a large part of the sentiment is keep it, leave it as it is. Don't do anything. So that was the two main sentiment we actually got from the feedback through our Facebook.
I mean, we could ask what could have been, but I think, like Celine said, we should really try to find other ways to memorialize the heritage character of this place, which I think we agree that is one of the challenges of the competition that was held. RFP, there was an international competition, getting many design firms all over the world to participate. One of the things is, if the physical historical artifacts are no longer there, how do you create that sense of the place identity without resorting to Disneyland kind of thing, thematize everything and just build a theme park basically, which will not honor the memory of the place. So that remains a challenge with us. How to strike that fine balance between properly commemorating the memories, the history, but not doing an artificial version of it.
We got them involved in the community workshop. I mean, a few of them are actually one of them was actually on the wheelchair. And we asked him at the end of the day, in fact his view was interesting. He said that, this place is wonderful, but it is really not for me now. Can you make it, wheelchair accessible? So I mean, you leave the tracks there, definitely it's not wheelchair accessible. So the question therefore is, can we make it an inclusive space? And somehow you feel that, as a planner, I feel that somehow we need to make it more inclusive. But they are also realistic. See, even the guy on wheelchair, he's not saying that he wants 24 kilometers of the entire rail corridor to be accessible where he can just roll up and all that. He's not saying that. In fact, he was interesting at one particular spot, Mayfair area. He said that, look, if you just create a place for me to go up to a high point and watch people using it, I'll be very happy. How we can make it more inclusive? It doesn't have to be homogeneous. It doesn't have to be completely tarmac. I don't think it even needs to be tarmac. But we can try to look for means of making it more accessible to everyone. The tracks are removed. I mean, that's already removed, so we can't do much about it. In fact, one of the challenges I have now is, then how do you bring back a sense of memory, a sense of place? How do you bring back the elements of heritage? Besides, of course, keeping whatever we have left. How can we celebrate heritage? And I think that is the conversation I'm having with people, and say, look, how can we celebrate heritage? Much of it is missing today. Can we celebrate in a different way? Can we bring back memories in a different way that is meaningful for people who are discovering the place for the first time? So those are the things that I think are important.
If you remember, I think there was an initial competition by URA in the beginning.
Ideas
there
competition.
was this proposal that says
Tiger.
that the
Introduce the
habitat
tiger.
becomes so good that the tiger starts to come back.
I tell you, I was there to, I was not in the jury panel, but
That was the first prize.
first prize.
Yes.
There are 5 ideas. I mean, we have 5 prizes. One of the prizes is called the Extraordinary Idea Prize.
Yeah.
Okay, extraordinary idea. And this guy is an Australian landscape architecture firm. Suggested that he wanted the rail corridor to be what you call a tiger's garden. That somehow, one of these days, the tigers are released back into the rail corridor. And he had a beautiful drawing of an elevated rail corridor with tigers below. Of course, there are many cameras all over the place to monitor the tigers. The idea was that he wanted to really re-jungle the place, and he won first prize. And I was there when the judges were judging it, and they unanimously say this is the winning prize.
I was one of the judges.
You were one of the judges. You were definitely one of the judges. It was unanimous, right?
Unanimous.
It was
There were
unanimous.
5 of us, and 5 of us voted on that
Yes,
theme.
and I started to reflect on that. It was important for me because this was my project. All of them were going back to childhood, thinking that what if we really could have a situation where tigers actually roam Singapore and roam the rail corridor. But I'm safe because I'm on an elevated walkway, right? You're not with the tigers. I think it was impressive because to me that speaks about this sense of discovery, sense of adventure was important to people who voted for this as a first prize. A sense of discovery, sense of adventure. So, something that is quite different. And that becomes very important to us because at the end of the day, that becomes a value that we wanted to incorporate as a planning design goal for the rail corridor, a sense of discovery. That you are able to create an environment and people say, look, this is incredible. This is a beautiful place and full of nature, and I want to bring my kids here. In fact, if I can, I bring my grandmother here and my grandfather here as well. So I think that's what's important. These are values.
I really think that as a space it is already very successful without having anything physically done to it. So I just think we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And they really need to project it, not just 5, 10, maybe like it's a 50-year thing or whatever. It really takes that kind of slowness to get it already in the minds of people. It's not a space that they're familiar with, because it's a railway track. So most people don't even know about it. So it's going to take some conditioning for people to get used to a space like this.
A very meaningful aspect of this sense of ownership, I mean the sense of ownership of this space is through the young generation today. I mean kids who have no memory of this space ever being a railway track. And having said that, there's a phenomenal number of schools along both sides of the rail corridor. So one of the outreach efforts could really be getting these schools to organize programs for school children to really get exposure to this space while it's unmanicured, while it's undeveloped, unplanned, and let them experience it and see what they will imagine, how we imagine the future. And because it's really, I mean, the whole thing about heritage is passing down something precious through generations, and I think we have to, like I say, leave the imagination also to the next generation, so that it's something that alive, that is evolving, and it's not just shaped by values of certain generation of thinking. So for me, getting schools involved, getting maybe even them, each school adopting a 100-meter stretch, or 50 meters, just to conduct outdoor lessons, organize activities around these areas. That would be enough. That will start these children thinking about what this space really means to them.
I'll talk about the community part because I find it very interesting. This whole thing about the rail corridor, we were sensitized to it because the community talks about it. They support the the Eugene Stays Facebook was on.
We support the green corridor.
We support the green corridor Facebook, right? So and then the Friends of the Green Corridor was formed first before it became the Friends of Rail Corridor. And they were actually talking about it. They're doing workshops in the and actually we offered the place also in URA for the workshop. But they were talking about it. So the beginning part was we are in a listening mode. We were really in a listening mode. In Singapore, most people think that URA has already planned every square inch of the land. I wouldn't say it's true or not, but I would say that for the rail corridor, certainly we did not do it. And we were in a totally listening mode. But we have come to a stage now that we have switched. We are listening, but we are also reaching out to people to tell us things, not just waiting for people to tell us. Because in the beginning it was actually the interest groups, the green people were talking about it, the heritage people were talking about it. Now we are interested to know what the rest of the 99.9% of the population would say about the rail corridor, who want for the rail corridor, because they live here. They are the stakeholders. They actually live next door. They don't dare to enter the corridor. Now we say, please enter the corridor. This is going to be good. It is good for you, good for your family. You're going to feel healthier by visiting the corridor. You're going to feel happier. We make it relevant to you. So we wanted the 99.9% of people to tell us what they say. And that's why we're moving the exhibition and we're moving the community engagement up the rail corridor.
When I think back in 2010, when we first initiated it, I think it was essentially a ground-up initiative. It's the public, the community, the Nature Society that was organizing walks, bringing the public to the green corridor, and setting up Facebook group to tell people about the green corridor and all. And I think never in my wildest dream, that I would imagine the government to embrace the entire 26 kilometers. When we put out the proposal, I think the most we can hope for is half. But it was really a pleasant surprise that the government actually think about the entire corridor. And I would say right now, I think the drive for the future of the green corridor is in the government hand, in URA, who's actually doing the master planning. But I hope in the future it will be returned back to the community as a ground-up sort of space. Where the ground-up initiative along the entire rail corridor actually manage a space. So I think it's sort of a cycle. I think it's a happy cycle, and for me it has been a happy story, a happy journey.